of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. Call to order, Adrian.
Here.
Tom.
Here.
Pat.
Here.
Deb. Here. Thank you very much. I'd like to have a motion, please, to open the public hearing to extend the moratorium on cryptocurrency. Who said that? Tom did, and second was Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At this point, before anybody speaks here, I did receive some notifications from people, even up to this afternoon, hoping that we do extend the moratorium for a lot of reasons here, but I've gotten a few emails that they want us to extend it. In fact, some of them want us to end it, completely. So they're in favor of extending it. And I also received one, in all fairness, from Petawat, who's concerned about it because of the property they own. So, for a future cryptocurrency mining tour project. So, in all fairness, those are the ones that I have received. Now, from the public, who would like to speak? Dave?
I'm ready to. My mother has passed, but when I was here last time, I did say the word bullshit. So I won't say it this time, so the papers can cover it. Rest your soul. First of all, I'd like to point out a person's name. His name is Sean Fryatt. He was the owner and president of CEO of FTX crypto mining company. He was 30 years old. The company had multi-billion dollars worth of assets. Last week it went bankrupt. He is totally broke. To receive any compensations when these companies go bankrupt, and there's been numerous in the last couple of years, it's almost impossible to get anything because there's not a lot of assets with the cryptocurrency. It still continues to be a very risky business. Has no government regulations. I have, in the last year, corresponded several times with Governor Kathy Hochul and also with the head of the DEC, asking them, because of DEC, because of the environmental impact, asking them to make regulations for this in New York State. Recently, when Kathy was just elected, it has said that one of her downfalls is she's never been able to make any regulations for cryptocurrency mining. I have to say, this is numerous times now that you've asked to be extended for a moratorium on cryptocurrency mining. I think it's time that you admit, and I don't say this as derogatory, but that you don't know what's going on with crypto mining. It is time that you just say we will no longer do it until New York State comes out with some regulations. You're looking like crazy people when you keep saying we want a moratorium. We know if you go down towards Alcoa, there's great big fans blowing carbon emissions all over the place and destroying it. If you go across the street, you see dredging going on for other industries that have created environmental impacts that we didn't know about at the time when they were going on. But we do know that crypto mining causes environmental problems. And we need to try to get our seaway and everything back to where it should be and where it needs to be. So I ask you people tonight not to extend for another 6 months, but to postpone any suggestions for cryptocurrency mining. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Anybody else, please?
Not like last time.
Well, we all heard what we did. As far as regulations, Eric, can you comment on what the state is doing at this point? You're aware of?
Yeah, at this point, at least from what I know, sir, I haven't seen anything that leads me to believe we're going to have cryptocurrency mining regulations at the state level.
I can tell you, I checked this morning, there's absolutely nothing going on with New York State with cryptocurrency mining.
Yeah, I don't think we're, that we're there yet. I know that any number of agencies have been looking at it, and I know municipalities across the state are struggling with the same things. So, from my perspective, I think we should continue the moratorium. I believe we will be able to have some
I speak one more time? I don't know why you're trying to extend the moratorium. One of the things I want to tell you, the reason why Mr. O'Shaughnessy and stuff got crypto mining in here was because Plattsburgh, New York asked the company to put up money up front for the electric power and everything that they did, and they wouldn't do it. So they ended up coming to Massena. These companies are going bankrupt. It's not going to stick with the town of Massena, but it's going to stick with power companies with a bill if they do go bankrupt. And I think that in itself is a major problem. You're taking a risk where right now there's no government regulations. If I buy an IRA, if I buy a CD of any kind, there's government regulations controlling my money. But if I buy Bitcoin coins, there's nothing to control it, nothing to protect my assets. You're perpetuating an industry that doesn't have any protection. The federal government is very confused by it. I don't know why Governor Hochul hasn't done anything about it. It doesn't appear it's on the agenda. I've talked to her office. I've talked to close people that I'm close with, Senator Breslin and a few other people that I'm close with, and it doesn't seem like there's anything on their agenda. But all people know that it's numerous people the last week, let alone the last year, that have gone bankrupt because there is no protection for their, for their assets, and there's no government regulations on the investment. Why the town of Massena would want to consider extending the moratorium any longer, I would just suspend the moratorium until a further date when better government regulations are being done.
Well, there are businesses that have cryptocurrency locally here.
I
By
would-
extending it, it stops them from asking for more power.
And I think that would be a very good idea.
So,
I think that would be a good idea because they keep going against the
I
environment.
understand people, some people don't like cryptocurrency mining, and, there, of course, in any type of business, there's risks. And, I'm not gonna go through each of the specific cryptocurrency mining, operations that are currently located within town. Some of them are not receiving power from Massena Electric, and those that are governed by a very strict tariff that is designed specifically so that Massena Electric is not put at any risk. Right? We learned the lessons of Plattsburgh. We understand the nature of cryptocurrency mining and its potential for impact on the local electric departments. And the board of Massena Electric Department is taking every step to mitigate that risk. There's just no outstanding risks in the event of, like, say, a bankruptcy that would hurt Massena Electric. So between the short billing cycles that they employ, the large deposits, Massena Electric is safe. So I don't know how else to put it. We can go back and forth all night, but at the end of the day, there's not a risk here to the town of Massena.
The question that Sue asked, I think, is, what's the right time to put it? Should you extend it until you have New York State regulations and not do anything till then, so that this doesn't keep coming up?
Yeah, I think we're just about there. We've got some work to do with the committee. They're waiting for a draft of cryptocurrency mining operations from me. I've gone through and have a draft that I think is almost ready for their consideration. I know that in particular, and Tom would have asked me for it a couple of times. I'm just not quite ready, but we're close. And I think that the January timeframe will give us enough time to finalize the regulations, have the committee review it, and then have it out for a public hearing sometime in December or January, so that it can be adopted.
okay, so at least at the end of January.
Yeah.
Get this
One more thing.
Get this thing straightened out.
I do not see, and I've asked for comments on it, and I've asked to see how the town of Massena benefits financially from this. I know that one operation you don't benefit at all because of the trailers, but I don't see how it benefits. I read an article, an op-ed piece that pissed me off, and there I go, in the Watertown Times that said there were 90 people being employed by Bitcoin. It wasn't in Massena, it was national. There's almost no benefit for employees at all in Massena. All it does is hurt our environment. It's also an industry that has no regulations, so it can make your constituents at risk by investing in it. They can go bankrupt very easily. You supporting it, I do not think is a very good idea.
So a moratorium is not to make this board look stupid because we're extending it by any stretch of imagination. And I will say this to the board members, you have worked diligently researching this. It's not like every week we are getting sent information on cryptocurrency and studying it. And I will tell you, Debbie has sent that out every week. She continues to study this. So for that comment to say that we look bad because we're extending that is not true. I think we're extending it so that we do make the right choice and get the right information so that it benefits the Massena community and not individuals in certain things. So yes, waiting for New York State regulation is a plus if they're going to do that. We've been told that for how long now? So if we're just extending it to make sure that we make the right decision, I think that's a good decision to do that until we find out as much as we can and possibly get some answers from above. So to the board, I will tell you, you have worked diligently. All the information that you have shared with me, we have researched it, and I hope we continue to do that.
And I can agree with the fact that MED's at no risk because they've gone over all of the ways that they've made sure that they were protected in regard to this. They have their advances there, and tell me if I'm saying it right, but they have everything set up so they get paid appropriately all the time, and if they don't, then they need to stop.
Yeah, so I think this gets a little bit beyond public, a public hearing type of issue. But, the issue of risky credit analysis is something that MED is not new to. And they have taken the appropriate steps so that they're not exposed to excessive losses from cryptocurrency. I don't know how to say it any more plainly than that.
I know you are putting up a lot of work on it, and I appreciate that, all of you.
I didn't mean to say that we're doing a bad job by extending this all the time, because I'm very proud of what you do. But Tom, I'd like to ask you, what advantage does Massena have by having crypto mining in the town? Is there any advantage?
My understanding, there's 80 or 90 employees at the old Reynolds plant. 80 or 90 jobs in the community this size are important. Now, am I telling you that the side that you're saying is not true too? Everybody, like Eric said, there's two sides to everything. We've got to figure it out and make sure we make the right decision. And we're working diligently to make sure that this happens so that the town and the community of Massena is protected.
I would ask you to try to visit the site and to find out who the employees are, because one of your former members of the council worked for the cryptocurrency and said there's no way in hell there's that many people. And after that article came out saying 90 people, there were a number of people that said there's not. I have a friend that works there. He said, I have nothing to do, and there's no one to talk to because there's only a few of us there. I would ask you to ask for the payroll listing and stuff, because from what I understand, and I may be wrong, so I'm not afraid to say that, but from what I understand, there's like 5 employees.
I have
And
physically not counted.
the article that the Watertown Times put out did say 90, but no one has been able to back that up. And as I say, one of your former council people came out and said she worked for the company and there was no way. There were 90 people when they were first putting in all the computers. And now the computers are all in. And all the environmental distractions are going with the blowing out of the CO2 emissions. From what I understand, there are not hardly any people there. And if you've been on this committee long enough, and I think it was a year ago that I was here, I would have hoped that you and Deb would have visited the site and found out how many employees are there. And from what I'm hearing now, you have not done that.
I have not physically counted 90 employees there. No, and I've been told by.
Have you been on the site at all?
I have, 100% have.
And did you see people there?
I did.
Very many?
Power Authority was there with you, and I probably saw 3 or 4 employees that I did a tour with.
Okay, and that's what normally would be there.
But anyway, let's try to finish this up at this point so we can have a motion to close the public hearing, because there's another person waiting to do a big presentation also. I appreciate very much your coming, Dave. I've also gotten other emails, which add to what you've also said too. As far as Vince, would be the motion to close the public hearing, please, and then make a motion
So
to,
move.
Tom, to close it.
I'll second.
And then do we need a motion to,
We're all,
okay, who's making the motion to extend it and to how, until when?
So the draft had till January 31st. If we're gonna change the date, we need to, do the public hearing.
Yeah, well, if we extend it, we can extend it to January 31st. That would be the time that we're planning on, right? If it's to be extended.
I'm saying if we decide to